Gengar is certainly not the easiest 6-star raid out there, but it's not too difficult to figure out either. The first thing we need to consider is the fact that it has Curse Body, so we always need to have a plan for how to burn those 3 turns that we are disabled, because that time's probably going to come. That's how Curse Body works. You hit it with a move, it disables the move. So there's a good chance at least once in the raid the move you prefer to use is going to get disabled, but we do have a way to decrease the chances of that happening, which we'll talk about. Gengar is going to use Hypnosis 2 times during the raid. Every time it uses Hypnosis, it's going to have a 15% chance to hit you, since it picks a random one out of the 4 of the Pokemon, which brings it down to 25%, and Hypnosis, of course, has only a 60% chance to hit, so it brings it down to 15% chance. But the way we're going to deal with that on all 3 of those builds is to allocate 2 cheers to make sure we're prepared for that worst case scenario. 50% HP, Gengar's going to clean itself, and then shortly after at 45% HP, Gengar is going to clean you. That's the main thing that makes this raid kind of difficult, is the fact that there's not only a you cleanse and a Gengar self cleanse, they're right next to each other, which makes things a little bit awkward. 25% HP is the second time Gengar is going to use Hypnosis on a random Pokemon. By the end of the raid, you will have had a 27.75% chance to get hit with at least 1 Hypnosis. And then we need to talk about the fact that Gengar has Will-O-Wisp, and all 3 of these Pokemon are going to be dealing with Will-O-Wisp uniquely. These are the 3 builds that we're going to be using. Believe it or not, Bellibolt is not the best one out of these, but Bellibolt does work. We're putting the Big Root because the chances that we get a good Metronome boost when Gengar has Curse Body are pretty low, so we're just going to go with the Big Root. We have Slack Off just in case at any point we end up close to 60% HP, and Parabolic Charge is disabled because we don't want to faint while we're terrestrialized. Ursaluna is going to be holding the Shell Bell. It's really important that it has Sword Stance. If it's not a Fairy or Poison type, then on turn 1 you will be safe using Belly Drum no matter what nature it is. But Belly Drumming in the middle of the raid when it resets you is going to be risky. So if you're only going to run 1 boosting move, run Sword Stance. Now you need to make sure you have at least 2 damaging moves, Drain Punch and Earthquake, or Drain Punch and Facade, or even Facade and Earthquake, just because of Curse Body, because something is likely going to be disabled. And since Shell Bell is our main source of healing, we need to make sure we are always doing damage. Now the only Pokemon that has the Covert Cloak is Iron Moth, because it's baiting Shadow Ball, unlike our other 2 Pokemon. We definitely don't want to get any special defense drops, since one of the things that makes Iron Moth work so well in this is how well it tanks Gengar's moves. This is the Poison variant. I could bring up the Fire variant, which you could also use. Iron Moth is by far my favorite way to take this out, just because it takes so little damage from Gengar and it outspeeds it. In order to stay alive, all you need to know are a couple things. 1, if it's not a Ghost Tera Gengar, then the most possible damage you can take from it is 43.6% from a critical hit, modest, not Ghost Tera type Shadow Ball. So for the entire raid, just make sure if you get to under 50% health, use Morning Sun. If it is a Ghost Tera, you can still use this. You just have to change that to 65%, because the most possible damage you'll be able to take at that point will be 58.2% from a critical hit modest Shadow Ball. And no matter what nature it has, we are going to outspeed, so we are going to be safe from crits as long as you keep that rule in mind. In the demonstration, I am using the Poison type Iron Moth. The Fire type probably works here, but I didn't get to test it because we're up against a Fire type. You are simply going to use Acid Spray 3 times in the beginning, or until Acid Spray gets disabled by Curse Body. Then again, at any point you get under the crit range, use Morning Sun. Okay, most of the time that's 50%. And after it's at -6 or Acid Spray gets disabled, you're just going to spam Sludge Wave. As soon as you can terrestrialize, you can go ahead and do it. At 50% HP, it's going to clean itself, so of course you're going to want to reset those special defense debuffs by using Acid Spray. Now real quick, before we move on to the next build, I just want to mention Fire type Iron Moth works here as well. I'll put the build on the screen for a little bit. You can just put Fiery Dance and Flamethrower instead of Acid Spray and Sludge Wave, and it'll work very similarly, with Fiery Dance acting as your damage booster instead of Acid Spray, giving you a 50% chance to increase your special attack. Will it do a little less damage? Yes, but it's just another option in case you really like the Iron Moth method. I don't recommend using Belly Drum. That doesn't mean mean you can't get away with it. It just means it's very risky, okay? Especially against either a poison or a fairy type Gengar. Now, what Ursaluna is going to be doing is using Swords Dance 1 or 2 times in the beginning of the raid. Going in, we do want to make sure we have 2 out of these 3 damaging moves. You want to have 2 of either Facade, Earthquake, or Drain Punch. The reason you want 2 damaging moves that can hit the Gengar is because of Cursed Body. And without doing damage consistently, we're not going to be getting healing, and we're going to put ourselves in danger. So to avoid that, make sure you have 2 of those moves, not just 1. You could go Facade and Body Slam. You could go Earthquake and another ground type move, as long as it's not Headlong Rush. Just use common sense. But anyways, you're going to Terrastallize ASAP after your Tera Orb is charged at 45% HP. Player Cleanse is going to happen, so reset your Swords Dances and then just continue spamming Facade, Earthquake, and Drain Punch until you win. It's actually pretty simple. Bellibolt is going to be one of the best answers for this. Now, this is the only time where I recommend putting Slack Off in Bellibolt's moveset, and the reason is because of Cursed Body. At any time during the raid, if you are close to 60% HP and Parabolic Charge is disabled, you're going to need Slack Off to stay safe from a critical hit. So, with that in mind, Bellibolt's turn order is going to look like so. You're going to use Acid Spray 1 or 2 times in the beginning. Hopefully Acid Spray gets disabled by Cursed Body so that you get 3 turns to use Parabolic Charge without having to check. When you can Terrastallize, you're going to go ahead and do that. Again, if you end up close to 60% HP and Parabolic Charge happens to be disabled, just use Slack Off and use some Acid Sprays just to make sure that Gengar stats are pretty low. You're going to just Terrastallize as soon as you can, continue that spam. Gengar's going to clean itself at 50% HP. We don't care about the 45% clean, but when it does clean itself, you're going to get at least 1 or 2 Acid Sprays up, however many Cursed Body allows you to use, and then we're just going to go back to spamming Parabolic Charge until you win. We're not going to be able to turbo here, obviously, because of Cursed Body, but that is still a pretty easy way to take out this Gengar with Bellibolt. Hi, thanks for watching the video. If you could just smash that like button and subscribe, that would be great.